We're back once again, only on it's Last Call. Last Call at the Alcohol, only on the LastCallPodcast.com. And join me once again, as always, every time we have an MMA fight or MMA weekend, we gotta have this guy on because he is the as a sharper tongue than fighters have punches. He is not afraid to call people out who need to be called out, and damn it, he loves to just drop bombs like this weekend's UFC card. I give you once again from Heavy Sports and from, of course, MMA Icebreaker Podcast. I give you it's Marcel Dorff. So Marcel, let's jump right into this here and get right to it. Islam Makhachev continues to break records, to win fights. This time around, defeating Ian Machado Gary by unanimous decision. He now is a 17-fight win streak, longest of UFC. And damn it, Marcel, again, he keeps on showing that anything you throw at him, he will defeat you. I mean, is he the best fighter right now, pound for pound, we've seen in maybe a long time of the UFC?
I mean, definitely right now the best pound for pound fighter for sure. I think for a long time. I don't know, man. We have some good fighters in the UFC, but 17 wins in a row is crazy. It's like it's like rare because it's never been done before in the UFC. He shared a record with Anderson Silva, so yeah, it's pretty crazy. 17 wins in a row, and also some real big wins in between those. So yeah, it's really impressive what he did and still doing.
So how do you grade his performance in this fight? Because there are some people who said, well, he might not be able to do well against guys who have more power. At the same time, there was never a moment you felt in this fight where he was going to be in deep trouble. So how do you grade his performance? Is he, probably going to, reign this division for a while, or did you see this fight and go, all right, there's some chinks in the armor here?
I mean, I think stylistically, Gary just a difficult matchup for him, because of the lengthy of the guy. And the thing is, like, Gary has an underrated ground game. I mean, he got taken to the ground by Islam, but Islam wasn't able to do a lot on the ground against him. I think with the other challengers that will be different. So I think it's definitely also to praise Gary here how he fought. Um, I mean, Islam clearly won, but Gary didn't do bad at all. I think he did pretty decent.
So let's talk about what's next for Islam, because again, he said he wants to keep busy. A lot of people are going, hey, that means Carlos Pratis. Pratis looks like he needs probably a little more time because, damn, he's a big boy. So who is next for Islam?
Believe me, it's going to be Carlos Prates. That's going to be the
Really?
fight next. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm pretty sure that's going to be the next fight.
Because Pratis
So,
doesn't looks like he is like maybe close to fighting at middleweight, let alone welterweight. So can he make the weight, or do they turn to Mike Morales next?
yeah, he never had trouble making weight, right? I mean, he always made weight so far, so I don't see an issue there. And I think for Michael Morales, he might be next, but maybe he should. I think, to be really honest, Michael Morales should be fighting on the same card, maybe taking on Ian Gary or something. And the thing is, like, if you look at both resumes, Morales has that win over Brady, which is a really good win in my opinion. Brady is super legit, top guy as well. But if you look at Pratas, I know he got the loss over Gary, but after that, like, he knocked out Leon Edwards, which is a former champion, and he stopped Jack Della Maddalena, who is a former champion. So those are two really big wins, in my opinion, which he pretty much wiped out that Ian Gary loss with, in my opinion. So I think he should be next, man. And you can still do, like, you can do Morales against Ian Gary, and the winner of that one gets a new title shot. Because I think, like, Ian Gary, he lost, but he's not far away from a new title shot with a big win. I think he did really well, actually, a little bit better actually than I expected. So yeah.
So where does Ian Machado Gary go next? Because that's a little more like how far do you drop him? Do you drop him maybe to have him maybe take on, I don't know, MVP? I was gonna say like Mike Morales. Do you have him fight somebody lower? I mean, like, what is next? I guess for
Uh,
the
I give
Irishman.
I give him Morales. I give him Morales. I think listen, if he was wiped out by Makachev in this fight, You know, you could give him somebody lower, like a Joaquin Buckley or something. You know what I mean? But no, man, he didn't get wiped out. Yeah, he lost. He lost clearly 3 rounds, maybe even 4 rounds. You know, but he didn't get wiped out or anything. You know, it was competitive, and definitely in the stand up, it was pretty competitive. In the later rounds, definitely. You know, so. No, I wouldn't get him back that much down in the rankings. To be really honest, I think he doesn't deserve to be like getting like an opponent who doesn't do much for him. You know.
All right, well, let's get to this next fight because you called it. So that's right. MacKenzie Dern defeated Jillian Robertson by unanimous decision. Before we get to the fallout, because we'll definitely get to that, Marcel has some
Mhm.
thoughts. Was this a boring fight? Like, I mean, look, no disrespect to Jillian, just felt like she never had an answer or even like a threat to the champion.
I mean, brother, I was watching Paint Dry today, and I was more entertained by that. No, it wasn't a good fight at all. You know, and I said last week, like, you got like two girls fighting each other. The girl who's the champion, MacKenzie Dern, shouldn't actually not be a champion at strawweight. You know, I still think Zhang Weili should be there, and if not, maybe Tatiana Suarez. And Robertson shouldn't be the challenger, in my opinion, because she got one really legit win at strawweight against Lemos. You know, and she barely got past Lemos. She won, but she barely got past her. You know, so I understand why the UFC made this pure optics, you know, but the thing is, like, if you look at quality, I think Dern is decent, you know. I think Robertson is also decent, but I don't see a world champion in Robertson, you know, and I didn't saw that either in Dern. But Dern, listen, I have all respect for MacKenzie Dern. I like her a lot, but she kind of got lucky that Willie Zhang went to flyweight step away, and the UFC went with a vacant title fight between Verna Gendiroba and MacKenzie Dern. Because like if Whaley stays in the division, nobody's going to touch her for a long time. You know what I mean? So yeah, and you know, yeah, I mean Robertson. The thing is, like, I will come back on the Dean Thomas thing. I, I said last week I didn't see championship material in her, you know, and that's no disrespect, but I can say it. You know, I'm not her coach, so um, yeah, it was a good fight. I think Robertson did well in the last round. She did pretty decent in that round, but besides that, nah, it wasn't really good, you know. And it felt like um, an Apex main event with a title on the line. Kind of weird, you know. But yeah, I don't know. I don't want to. Don't want to shit on these girls at all, you know. But it wasn't a good fight.
Well, let's first start with Mackenzie Dern. So
Yeah,
she wants to fight right away. She's not happy with performance. So let's talk about the elephant in the room. When does Wang Zhe Li get her shot next? And should they be worried that she just can't make 115? But this is some big, powerful woman here. She went up to 125 to challenge for Shevchenko, but this is some spring chicken here. I mean, could we look at Mackenzie Dern and go, okay, what's Plan B if Wang cannot make
nah,
125, 115 again?
that won't be an issue, man. I mean, did you see Zhang Lili at flyweight? She looked like outsized there, you know, so that won't be an issue, I think, you know. The thing is, like, when does she come back? Nobody knows, right? So I have no idea. And if Zhang Lili doesn't come back, you can match up McKenzie with Tatiana Suarez, maybe even Fatima Klein. I have no idea what they want to do, you know, but yeah, it's just like I don't know. I wonder where Zhang is. You know, I think everybody wants to know that because, like, she was legit, like, untouchable almost in the division. I know she lost twice to Rose, you know, but Rose is gone. So, um, yeah. I mean, we need to know what's up with Zhang Weili, right?
We do. In the meantime, though, should we give Mackenzie Dern credit? Like, she's finally sort of emerged as what we thought she was going to be when she
It's
first started out.
it's difficult to say, you know, because like the best fighter in the division is not fighting, you know, and the second best fighter in the division, in my opinion, is Tatiana Suarez. Doesn't get an opportunity to fight for the title because, unfortunately for Tatiana, when she got to fight for the title, Zhang Weili was still in the division, you know. So for me, it's actually crazy to see like Mackenzie Dern fighting Verna Jandiroba. Okay, I understand that Tatiana lost to Zhang Weili, but right now Tatiana has won some fights, you know. And why didn't she challenge MacKenzie Dern last Saturday for the title? What was it, Robertson? I don't see that. You know what I mean? And now what are we going to do now? I don't know what they're going to do. Maybe they're giving it to Fatima Klein because she's young and she's up and coming and she's entertaining to a lot of people, to me as well, by the way. So maybe they do that. But I want to know what's up with Zhang Weili. Give us some updates. Listen, if she doesn't fight anymore at 115, okay, cool, but let us know. You know what I mean? It's just like not, and also like MacKenzie Dern says it doesn't really bother her, but at the same time, she knows as well, like it's a lot of fans, and I'm talking about the serious fans, not the fans who only comment on her because she looks great. I mean, the serious fans, they will not saying like she's a legit champion unless she beats Zhang Weili, And listen, if Zhang Weili steps away from the division, then okay, then she's just the champion right now, and everybody will accept that. But as long as Zhang Weili is somewhere in that division and she doesn't fight, and maybe she comes back, everybody needs to see that fight. You know what I mean? Everybody wants to see that fight. There's no hit on MacKenzie because she can't do anything about it. It's not her fault that Zhang Weili is not returning right now. But it's just kind of a little bit of a stain on her reign. You know what I mean? And that fucking sucks because, hey, what if she fights her and what if she beats her? It's. I mean, I don't think she does, but there is a possibility that she beats Zhang Weili when they fight. And maybe we will never see that fight, which fucking sucks. But I don't know what to think about it. I think a lot of people think that way.
So what do we do with Julian Robertson next? Because again, she won. She had a long winning streak. So it's again, I get why they made the fight. It was like, okay, we got to do something here. We can't just let her basically win 5 straight fights and give it to somebody else who maybe won one. But as you said, she didn't look competitive. This felt like just basically sort of a
Chris.
mismatch here. So do we do Fatima Klein versus Jillian
No,
Robertson
no,
next?
no, no. Chris, you know what the problem is here? It's like they're not honest, the UFC, what they're doing, It's like Movsar Evloev, 9-0 at featherweight, finally gets his title shot now, He beat Aljamain Sterling, Arnold Allen, fucking Laurent Murphy, all these big guys, Diego Lopez, all these really good guys at the top of the division. He fucking needs 9 fights before he gets the title shot. Jill Robertson beat one really legit girl in Amanda Lemos in the division as she gets a immediate title shot. That's the bullshit they're pulling, because they like the girl, And I like Jillian as well. I sound like a massive hater. I'm not, but I don't like how they do it, It's like I think Jillian should fight somebody like Verna Jandiroba, somebody like Tatiana Suarez, somebody like you say Fatima Klein. But I think they will going to push Fatima Klein even to a contender fight or maybe to a title fight. So, but she listen. It's obviously the level she fought on Saturday was not enough to beat MacKenzie Dern. That level will also not be enough to beat Tatiana Suarez and Verna Jandiroba in the 3-rounder, But she needs these fights to stay there where she is now, and it's kind of pathetic from the UFC that they have certain matchmaking for fighters they want to push, and then out of nowhere they get a title shot. It's like the same shit they pulled with Sean O'Malley. I don't know if you remember that he fought Pedro Munoz and they went to a no contest, and then out of nowhere he got the number 1 contender in Piotr Jan back then in Abu Dhabi, and he fucking gets a decision which he should never got, and then he gets a fucking title shot, So it's like, you know what I mean? It's what they want at the UFC. For me, it's like I think they pushed Jillian way too early, to be really honest. And I mean, it sucks for Jillian, but she needs to bounce back. I don't know against who. I think Verna Jandiroba makes sense, but I don't know what the UFC wants, right?
All right, let's get to the fallout here. So after the fight, Din Thomas, former UFC fighter, Jillian Robertson's coach, went on, basically said onto the UFC desk, not just talk to the media. He went on the post fight, and he's all dressed up, and he basically goes, "Here we have word for my announcement. I do have an announcement for you guys. I told myself I would continue to do this until I took Jillian as far as she could go. I think that she might be as far as she can go, and I am officially retiring from cornering fighters tonight." Basically saying, yeah, Jillian wasn't that good. He was not happy that she didn't listen to his advice, and Well, you suck. I'm out of here. Peace, bitches. Since then, he's apologized, but you're sitting there. This is the first time I think we got united. Fans, media, fighters, all in agreement on something. They can't agree on like a pizza, let alone like, about people's comments. But nobody here is happy that Din Thomas basically just took a dump right on his fighter afterwards, shanked her in the back, and went, "Yep, peace, bitches." So Marcel, just take the floor, because I know afterwards you were like, "Oh, I'm going nuclear and Din Thomas." So you thought it was bad before. You thought Edmund Taverdi was bad. Din, Chris, hold my beer. Marcel is going full speed ahead, both barrels on Din Thomas.
So you would get me a lot of more annoyed by it if you asked me yesterday because he came out and he apologized. But the thing is, like, the way he went, what really annoyed me actually is the way he did it. He was like on the post fight show, and he took his moment and looking in the camera, and the way how proudly he said it was really annoying to me. I was like, dude, what the hell's wrong with you? He thinks he's the main character, when he did that. It's like, you're not the main character here, Yeah, maybe you think you are, but you're not. But that's also what I posted on Twitter, by the way. But also, like, I was like, bro, let's be honest, and everybody heard it. The coaching was horrible during the fight, It was really bad. So I didn't understand the way he went through it. Listen, maybe something happened backstage with him or Robertson or during camp, whatever. Don't go public with it. It's just stupid. So I didn't like that, and yeah, I also didn't get it, man. It was really like even putting more salt in Jillian's wounds. I felt like, and it was super unnecessary. Not the time. He also apologized for. Listen, I'm not the guy from the woke side who is like, yeah, you just apologize to save your ass and blah blah blah, and we don't accept the apology. Listen, it's not for me to accept the apology. The apology should be to Jillian, and if she accepted, all good for me. So but I thought that was really bad, what he did, and I'm happy he see himself that it was bad what he did. So yeah, I mean, what can you say about it? I feel like you always should be behind your fighter as a coach, And listen, if there is an issue or something, talk with each other, but keep it behind closed doors. You know what I mean? So that's basically what irked me about it. And I'm always pretty, like, how do you say that? Pretty neutral with my comments on Twitter. I'm a little bit more outspoken on podcasts, but on Twitter I'm a little bit more neutral. But I felt like I had to say something about it. Normally I don't mingle in these discussions, but yeah, it was just bad. And I'm happy didn't actually not acknowledge that it was bad. The only thing I really didn't like what he said and what he never acknowledged anymore is that he said, like, this is like her top. She cannot go any further or whatever. It's like, dude, if you feel that way, you should have stepped away before already. You know what I mean? If you feel that way, then maybe tell her to go to another coach where she can develop more in her game. But yeah, that's just my opinion, and yeah, that's basically it.
We'll get to this apology in a second, but first, here's the biggest problem I had. Like, when you listen to the corner, he really didn't give her like any sound advice. I mean, there wasn't
No,
like, "Oh yeah, hey, you gotta watch out for the takedowns. Hey, you need to, catch her with this." It was like, again, he's a lot like Edmund Taverdian, where it's like he says catchphrases or little things, but even when she's trying to fight off a leg lock, you never hear him like go, what work position, grab the ankle. I mean, there's never like coaching for him. So I guess like right there, right off the bat with him, my feeling is, what does he do in terms of coaching? Because it doesn't seem like he is a guy that you look and go, well, he's a great tactician. So what is it? I mean, because he was pretty bad as a coach in this fight.
yeah, he was. So that makes it even worse that he shit on Jillian afterwards. You know what I mean? So um listen, I'm also not a coach, so I'm not gonna say like um he should do this or that. But the coaching was pretty bad. He didn't give her any pointers. Um, just like it was like he gave up. You know what I mean? And I think he did. But as a coach, you should never give up on your fighter unless you want to throw the towel, which he didn't do. So don't give up on your fighter. But yeah, what can I say about it, man? Listen, man, I'm not a coach, but I thought it was really bad taste what he did, and I'm glad he said something about it today. But yeah, I think for Jillian might be a good idea to search for a new camp, maybe, somebody who can help her further in her career.
How much should we take his apology? I mean, again, it's like, okay, great, you apologize after the entire MMA world just dumped on you. Like,
Yeah.
when Sean Strickland is the voice of reason, it's pretty bad. Like, again, this just feels like he's not sorry, he said. He's sorry that everybody is basically just ready to tar, feather, take him out back, beat him with a wiffle ball bat, and he realizes, oh, yeah, UFC probably won't bring me back. So you said, "Oh yeah, I feel better that he did the apology," but should we? Or is this
I'm
just him trying to save his ass because he knows, I done fucked up?
I mean, UFC will take him back. I mean, as long as you're in Dana's ass, you're good. You know what I mean? So Dana won't cut him out because it's a personal friend of him. You know what I mean? So well, he doesn't have to care, or he doesn't have to be scared about that or anything. But the thing is, in my opinion, it's not up to us to accept this apology, yes or no. Is it genuine? I don't know. I have no idea. That's not. I don't know the guy like that, so I cannot say. But it's like it's up to Jillian if she accepts an apology or not. It's not up to us, in my opinion. Only thing I can say is like, yeah, I mean, obviously it's kind of to save his face a little bit. It feels like that as well, but at the same time, I don't really mind. He got the apology. I'm a person when you apologize for something that are going to rag on you even more. Listen, I'm not a woman, who keeps that in mind for the rest of his life. But I mean, it's okay. Listen, if Jillian is okay with the apology he gave, then we should all be okay with it. You know what I mean? It's because it's not our struggle. You know what I mean? That's how I look at it, at least.
You're getting soft on me, Marcel. You old Marcel even like a couple months ago, but nah, screw this guy here. Just flambe him like it's basically Gordon Ramsay's kitchen. But I don't know. Ever since that new girlfriend, you're getting a bit mellow here. I'm worried about you, but we'll move on here to this. Was just damn. This is a performance. Jalen Turner 39 seconds to knock out Cowie Fernandez. He was gone. He was retired. Then he decides, I'm going to coming back. And ever since then, all right, well, Jalen Turner now with 2-0 in his UFC rebirth career. How impressive of a performance was that? Just basically ending poor Fernandez within like under 40 seconds.
I think it was very impressive. I thought this was one of the more closer fights of the night. So I picked Turner, but with a big question mark in this one because I thought that Fernandez could do some stuff. But fight was over before the fight basically started. You know what I mean? I mean, Fernandez kind of made a mistake by throwing some spinning shit, and Turner caught that and was able to hit him hard, and he ended him on the ground. Man, fight was over before it started. So, yeah, big win for Turner. I mean, it might be a good thing that he came back out of retirement.
So I was watching that fight. One of the things I noticed was the composure. I mean, again, he sort of staggers Fernandez. Fernandez goes for one of those spinning, back fists, and he does. And unlike a lot of fighters, he's not, overreacting. Just calmly, just touches him with the right hand, then blasts him with the left hand. So again, is this one of those, with Turner? Is this one of those things where it's just he's gotten older, he no longer is just, no longer overthinking it, or is this just a right opponent and he's still Jalen Turner? We're wondering what his ceiling is.
Um, yeah, it's a really difficult question what you're asking me, because I feel like the Jalen Turner has the talent to come further in the division, but at the same time, he has been disappointed sometimes as well. So you never know. I need to see more. This was good, but let him fight somebody like higher in the ranking. Let's see if he is ready for that. But he looked good, has looked better than ever since his comeback, I would say almost. So yeah, I'll be good with it. I think he's really good, and he proved that he made a probably a wrong choice by how do you say that, by retiring. I'm glad he's back.
So who do you give him next? Then I mean, he deserves a step up, not top 15. So all right, I'm gonna throw it out there. I know you're probably go, oh, you're a broken record, Chris here, but damn it, let's do Jalen Turner versus Michael Chandler. That'll be some fun. That will be a knockout either way. It's something where it's a little more realistic. So let's make that fun fight. Jalen Turner versus once again everybody's favorite knockout artist wrestler, the guy who we always wonder can he fight smart, but probably
Everybody
not.
say
Michael
uh,
Chandler.
everybody's favorite victim. Yeah. Yeah, we can do that. Why not? I wouldn't be against it. Why not? Yeah.
Hey, you thought I was going to oh no, you're going to suggest somebody else, but no, I'm laying off this guy.
I, I'm just
I'm
I'm just
laying
ha-
off your favorite guy for one fight card. So
I'm
let's
just
get to
happy
the.
you didn't say Jim Miller. So yeah.
Yes, I know. So let's get to the next fight here. That is, well, we thought this was going to be sort of a fight, and it kind of was a fight for different reasons. Once again, Mansour Abdul, Malik's losing record continues, or losing streak. This time, getting submitted by Dustin Stolfus in a huge upset, rear naked choke, second round, 425, and not gonna panic, but the Dana White privilege has now been revoked. If you are Mansour Abdul Malik, what the hell happened here? And is this say more about Mansour or more about Dustin?
I mean, very cool win for Dustin, obviously. I know he's from Philly, but at the same time, he was on this main card to make Abdul Malik look good, I think. Abdul Malik, after that loss last time against Usury, UFC was like, we need to build him back up. We give him a guy who has been finished a couple of times before, and maybe he can style on him. But that wasn't happening. Stoltzfus looked really good. Maybe one of his best career performances in the UFC. And yeah, was able to finish Abdul Malik. For Abdul Malik, it's a really bad loss, because like this was like almost like the UFC were like, here, dude, here you have a fight that you can win, so you can build back up. But man, uh, really bad. I don't man, maybe Abdul Malik is not that old. I think he's 29 or something. Still can come back, but it's not a good loss. I mean, usually Yusri was already not a really good loss because Yusri was only in the second fight in the UFC, but at least Yusri has some name, and not with the MMA, with the kickboxing. But Dustin Stoltzfus, I think before this fight he was 3-7 or 2-7, and now he's losing to Stoltzfus. Stoltzfus not a bad fighter, don't get me wrong, but it's a fight. He was a favorite here. It was a fight he should have won, and he didn't look good in the fight. And Stoltzfus actually looked great. So yeah, great win for Stoltzfus. I'm happy for him. Needed this win, got the win, good win. And for Abdul Malik, he will be back, but won't be at the big spot on the card probably.
The biggest, I guess, concern I have in is sorry about that. Got something stuck in my throat. Was
Yeah.
Malik, Abdul Malik being unable to out wrestle because that was supposed to be his strong point. Like, all right, hey, we know you're not a great striker. You're still working on it, but hey, your wrestling should take over. And this is not good. I mean, when you're getting out wrestled by Dustin Stolfus, I mean, should that say that there is a ceiling? This guy might be, just better than a regional fighter, but not really, a real UFC fighter.
Yeah, it's possible. The thing is, like, we still saw, and also in the fights he won, that he's pretty green still. We saw that also the Nick Klein fight where he got tagged horribly early on, but he was able to overcome adversity and win the fight. But yeah, I mean, he probably still has a learning curve. He's not that young, but he's also not that old, so he can still learn. Um, but like I said, not a good loss. The UFC was banking on him to win here. Um, he didn't, and no, not a good loss. There's nothing more to say.
Uh, Final fight of the main card: Esteban Rabovic defeated Edison Barboza by knockout
Mhm.
at 132 of round two, and we'll get to Esteban in a second, but for Edison, he actually after the fight he retires at 40 years old. He has been one of the most prolific, I say, or more better term, more one of the most dynamic strikers we've ever seen of the UFC, pound for pound. So I'm trying to be nice here, and is he a guy who just he is what he is, or when you look at Edison Barboza, you go, man, a lot of wasted potential because there were times when he looked fantastic against Anthony Pettis, Paul Felder, Gilbert Marino Melendez, and then there were fights where you're like, all right, well, what the hell happened? When losses to Jamie Varner, losses to you know Dan Ig, like how do you I guess summarize Edison Barboza, who was either flashy great or sometimes down with the ship?
I mean, Edson Barboza is kind of like what I said on Instagram. He's like your favorite fighter's favorite fighter. You know what I mean? He's like one of these guys who always tries to bring it. Is very violent and striking. But the thing is, like, and I think he said it afterwards as well. Like, he still does the same things that he could do when he was younger, but it's just not clicking anymore. It's like he's getting slower, and that happens with age. And yeah, I'm actually listen. If a fighter feels that way, it's good that he retires. You know, it can the matchup itself kind of sucked in my opinion, and not sucked in that it was bad, but I didn't want to see him fight Ribovic because from the moment I saw that fight book, I knew what was going to happen. It's like the UFC could have gave him a better farewell fight in my opinion than Ribovic. Ribovic is also a very violent fighter. So and he's quicker, he's younger, he's quicker than Edson right now, so you pretty much knew what was going to happen here. For Edson, man, he's one of my favorites. He always been, and I like the guy a lot. He comes over a very how do you say that? Very good as well outside the octagon. Very friendly guy, family man. Cannot hate on the guy, and he's also an entertaining fighter. So I wish him nothing but the best. The only thing I hope is that not somehow BKFC comes in a year and is like, here we have a big check for you. Let's fight Mike Perry or something. You know what I mean? So I don't hope that will happen. But yeah, I love Edson Barboza. I think every MMA fan does. He's a fun guy to watch, and yeah, I wish him nothing but the best. And for Ribovic, really good win, really respectful way of what he said after the fight, and he's a fun fighter, he's a really fun fighter, Ribovic.
I guess with Edison, like, why could he never, win the world title? Because at times, again, there were various fights, watch back to back Anthony Pettis and Gilbert Melendez and his knockout victories over, Terry Edom, and even, later on, he beat guys like Dan Hooker, Shane Burgos. Like, why isn't it that, he just couldn't get that that big win when it came into either a top wrestler or a top grappler, and he can overcome them?
Because the grappling, pretty much, he's not complete enough. He's really like his grappling is decent, but it's not top notch. His striking is great, but the thing is, like, if you fought a Khabib, fought Tony Ferguson, these guys can fucking grapple. You know what I mean? So it's like, yeah, that's difficult, and he's always been entertaining. He's always been in the top 15, at least, maybe not the last couple of years, but before. And I mean, he's been a respected guy, a respectable guy, a respectable, how do you say that? Guy in the division. I mean, he's not, he didn't fight for a title because he's just not there yet. He wasn't there yet, he wasn't ready. And it is what it is. There's no problem, We have more guys who are like that respectable but have never fought for a title. I mean, your boy Jim Miller, everybody loves Jim Miller, never fought for a title, there are more guys like that, but we respect them, and they're entertain us. So yeah, no problem.
All right, let's get to it. Bonus awards. There was no
Yeah.
fight of the night bonus. Instead, we got performance of the night. Jalen Turner, as we mentioned, Dustin Stolfus on the undercard. Charles Johnson defeating Eduardo Henrique by twister submission in the third round. Got it. And also the early prelims. Don't call me Bullfrog Wells defeating Mick or Bali by ninja choke. Do you agree? Disagree? Should have been somebody else who should have gotten bonus money, or do all four get the Marcel Dorff stamp of approval?
I'm good with it, man. I mean, I think it's no problem at all. Maybe Neil Magny deserved a bonus as well, but I think I have no problem with it. Jeremiah Wells, biggest underdog on the card, and I think the fourth ever biggest underdog in UFC history to win. Was losing the first two rounds against Oral By, and then locked in that choke. Amazing win by him. Charles Johnson was also not winning on the scorecards. Got a point. Chapolin got a point deducted, and he was able to get that Scottish twister, and was beautiful. So yeah, also deserved, I think. And maybe Dante Johnson, who got the double knockouts. He knocked out Eric McConical and he knocked out the referee. So maybe he deserved the bonus as well. But yeah, there was lots to choose about. But I think Wells definitely deserved one, as have been like a massive underdog. Charles Johnson, obviously, with the rare Scottish twister. Who else? Stoltzfus, I had no problem with. He was also a pretty big underdog. And then the last one, Turner, yeah, makes sense. I have no problem with the bonuses in this one.
Well, let's get to this weekend's fights. We start with PFL has a fight on August 22nd. It's going to be headlined by her final fight of her career. That's right. Cris Cyborg takes on Ketlin Vieira for the Women's Featherweight Championship. We've got Marceli Alves facing off against Gustavo Oliveira. Luke Trainer versus Roland Dunlap. And finally, Gazi Rodanovo versus Tracy Radier. Let's talk about the main one. It's Cyborg's final fight. So, what is her legacy? Because I was trying to think of this here. Is she the greatest of all time? Do we still give it to Nunez? Like, where do we rank Cyborg?
To me, Cyborg is the greatest female fighter of all time in MMA. So I don't give a shit what people say that it's Nunez, because she beat her once. The dominance that Cyborg had from the beginning till the end of her career, it's not matchable. Even Nunez didn't have that dominance. You know what I mean? Ronda Rousey didn't have that dominance. She had the dominance, but not for such a long time. For me, listen, the best thing you can do is to say, like, Cyborg the featherweight goat and Nunez the bantamweight goat. You can do that, or Valentina the flyweight goat. But in my opinion, listen, is Chris Weidman the GOAT over Anderson Silva because he beat him twice? No. Is Conor McGregor the GOAT over Jose Aldo because he beat him once? No, at least not in my opinion. Yeah, I can go on, dude. It's you can name so many other guys. Is Henry Cejudo the GOAT because he beat Demetrius Johnson in the rematch? No. So is Amanda Nunes the GOAT because she beat Cyborg in a fight? No. But she's amazing. She is widely recognized by most people as the women's GOAT, and I have no problem with that. For me, it will always be Cyborg, because the level of dominance she had in her fights, which she fought for years. She fought before Amanda Nunes was even known by the general public. You know what I mean? She fought when Gina Carano was still fighting. And she's still fighting, and she's still fighting good opponents. Here in Ketlin Vieira. So. To me, it's Cyborg. A lot of people will disagree with me, or will even be upset with me because I didn't say Amanda Nunes. Well, they can suck it. I don't give a shit.
I hate using the words "feel bad" because, again, she's made a career for herself. She's made money. She'll go out on top. Do you feel though, sort of like a bit of regret that because of the feud with Dana White, because of Dana and his, let's say, schisms, that she never got maybe the love that Gina Carano did, that especially that Ronda Rousey did, and even that Valentina Shevchenko has done. Again, we look at the record, and she'll retire. She should beat Ketlin Vieira, so she'll retire at 30 wins, 2 losses, dominance where it's, as you said, it's just like unfathomable. Is it still bad, though, that because of the feud with Dana and him and her, and just his quirks. I'm gonna try to be
But
polite. That she doesn't get the love from a lot of the mainstream MMA slash UFC fans.
Well, to be fair, who the fuck gives a shit about Dana, about his opinion? I don't give a shit about Dana. Dana always shits on Fedor as well. Fedor is still the heavyweight goat of all time. I don't give a shit what Dana says. If you as an MMA fan give a shit about what Dana says, then you're just a cuck. You know what I mean? So, I mean, go come up with your own opinions, in my opinion. Give your own opinion what you think. You don't have to let Dana think for you. Listen, for Dana, he could have made her super marketable, in my opinion. He didn't do that. And why he didn't do that, he still had the hope that somehow Ronda Rousey was returning. Everybody says, like, Dana put the featherweight division in the UFC for Cyborg. No, he did it for Ronda Rousey, and I'll tell you how. So when Ronda Rousey was the champion at bantamweight, they implemented the featherweight division, right? And they were like, maybe if we do the featherweight division, we can get Cyborg to the UFC and we can make a fight Ronda Rousey. That would be interesting, right? So then Ronda fights Holly Holm and she gets absolutely fucking destroyed in the fight. And then the UFC is like, maybe we should do a Holm against Cyborg. That would be interesting. So that's what they want to do. Then Cyborg apparently tests positive for whatever reason, and then they do Jermaine Durandamy against Holm. They expect Holm to win, but Durandamy wins, and they promise Durandamy, if you win this fight at 145, you don't have to defend the title. You get the title shot at 135 against then Amanda Nunes was then the champion. But then they tell Durandamy, like, no, you don't. You have to defend against Cris Cyborg. And Durandamy is like, I don't want to defend against Cris Cyborg. You guys told me I got the shot at 135 if I win the belt at 45. And they're like, no, you have to defend. So she's like, fuck off, I'm not doing that. And she had the title stripped of her. So the UFC telling that they did the 145 division for Cyborg is bullshit. They wanted to get Ronda a second belt. They thought like Ronda's going to beat Cyborg and she's going to stay the bantamweight queen. So then she has a double belt. That was the whole setup, in my opinion, from the beginning. So Dana just doesn't like Cyborg for a lot of reasons. She never got a rematch against Nunes. I would have loved to see a rematch, but she never got it. And yeah, I mean, it is what it is, but I don't give a shit what Dana thinks about Cyborg. Why should I? Dana also doesn't give a shit what I think about Cyborg, so why should I give a shit about what Dana thinks about Cyborg?
I just have a question. Why couldn't you have this fire when we're talking about Din Thomas? Again, I blame the new girlfriend. I know you're keeping your secret, so
no, because Dean Thomas actually apologized. I would have been like more fierce about that, I think, if he didn't. But I feel like apologize. I cannot see if it's genuine or not. And I'm not gonna even shit more on somebody when he apologizes. And it's not my how do you say that? It's not my task to say if his apology is good or not good enough. You know what I mean? So that's why I was a little bit less. Listen, if you did the interview or the podcast yesterday, I would have been more fired up about Dean Thomas, I think, but a little bit more mellow today.
I blame the new girlfriend. But once again, August 22nd, Cyborg versus Vieira. You got to check it out. It's the final fight of Cyborg's career. Best of luck to her with the new chapter in life. But we need to move on to the UFC card this weekend. It's going to be UFC Fight Night, Rodriguez versus Hernandez. We'll start off with the big question here. Can basically UFC get its wish and RoboCop knock out Fluffy Hernandez, or is this a fight where Fluffy could really piss off UFC and ruin the momentum that is RoboCop?
Said it yesterday against Adam, this is a horrible fight to pick, and I'll tell you why I think it's a horrible fight to pick, because both guys have a really good way to win this fight. If you look at Gregory Rodriguez, he got the knockout power, he got the submission game, but he has been chinning before. If you look at T. Hernandez, he got the submission game, he got the gas tank, better than Gregory Rodriguez overall, and he also got knockout power, but not as much as Rodriguez. So the thing is, like, if Rodriguez, I think Rodriguez is the most dangerous early on in the fight, But the longer the fight goes, I think Anthony will do better. A lot of people will say, like, yeah, but he looked really bad against Sean Strickland. Sean Strickland is the fucking champ, So not taking too much from that. I think Anthony Hernandez gets a late finish, to be honest, I think it will be a close fight as long as it takes, But I think the cardio of Anthony Hernandez will persevere in this fight, and I think he will be able to get the win.
How much does the UFC want RoboCop to win? Because he looks the part. He is this. He's now come around with a knockout machine at middleweight. They're trying to find somebody to take over from the era that was basically style bender. They want knockouts. They're not sure about Sean Strickland. Hey, Gregory Rodriguez, that guy just knocked somebody out. So how much is the UFC going? Let's get this done. Let's get this done. Let's hope he wins.
I mean, I don't really know if the UFC is that much on Rodriguez's side in this one. I think they both can do well. I think it's like these guys are pretty good overall, and I think it will be, like I said, a pretty close fight.
Let's go to the main card quickly. It's we got four fights, which I'm still trying to figure out how they all got onto this card. We've got Sergey Spivak versus Vitor Petrino. All right,
Mhm.
not sure about that. Roman Dolidze versus Marcel's countryman, the Black Knight Rainer de Ritter. We've got Markel Medeiros versus Mason Jones, and Carly Udis versus Jaisla Chavez. I'm trying to figure out how the hell half these cards got on the main card. And
You missed
once
one.
again, is the dog picking the fights? Is Hunter Campbell's dog picking these fights?
By the way, you missed one. Anthony wins against Terrence Chapman is
I
also
was
on the
going to
main
avoid
card.
that because I know you're like two heavyweights on the main card. Hunter, we gotta have a talk. I talked about no chubba chubs, and you're starting to do this here.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Um, I mean, the main card, I think there are fights on the prelims that could be on the main card, like the fight between Larry and Douglas and Jamal Amherst should be on the main card for sure. I think Marshall Barbosa deserves to be on the main card. The thing is, like, if you look at the fights that are on the main card, let's talk about Carly Judiz against Jay Chavez. Yeah, Carly Judiz always brings it in her fights. I think besides her fight against Juliana Miller, which was kind of, but all these other fights were pretty good of hers. Gisela Chavez, I mean, I haven't seen a lot of her yet. I think the fights we've seen from her were pretty close and could have gone either way as well. But that's an interesting fight. You got Petrino against Spivak is a really weird fight because you think Petrino might knock him out, but it's a typical fight where Petrino is really good early on, and then he gasses, and maybe he doesn't get Spivak out as Spivak takes over in the second round and maybe finishes Petrino. Really weird fight. We get Dolice against RDR. It's like a 205. So it's basically two middleweights going now to 205. It's kind of a weird matchmaking, I feel like, because both are coming from 185 and now going to fight at 205, like I said. But it's a very stylistically good matchup for Rainier, I think, because we know Dolice is pretty decent and good on the ground, but Rainier is also really good on the ground. So I think this fight hits the ground within the minute, probably, you know. Who else who else did we have on the card again? Oh, Marcel Medeiros against Mason Jones. That's a really good fight, man. That's maybe one of the most fun fights on the card. Markel has looked good so far, and Mason Jones is like it's like one of these super tough guys who also have the technique to do very well. So that's a fight I'm also looking really forward to. That's actually maybe my favorite fight on the main card: Markel Medeiros against Mason Jones.
Anybody in the prelims that you have your eye on? I know we're not going to go over the
Yes.
full prelims, but is there one fight you're like, I want to see this guy? This guy I have my eye on as a potential
Absolutely.
breakout.
Absolutely. Larry Douglas against Jamal Amherst. Larry Douglas looked already great in the contender series. Then he stopped Erosa last time, now fighting Amherst. I think Amherst is also pretty good. He's super tough, but that's an interesting fight. Marcio Barbosa looked amazing, in his debut. Now he's starting a second fight. He fights the Ryan Hughes guy from the Goat Chat. He should be able to win that fight. And also, don't forget Nasrat Haqparast against Chris Padilla. Chris Padilla is doing really well in the UFC, and Nasrat comes back for the first time since that head kick loss to Quillen Salkild. So yeah, that should be a good fight as well. There are some fun fights on this, and don't forget like Chanel Dyer, the opener of the card. She got the bonus last time by finishing her opponent. Now she's fighting Elise Reed. I think she might get another finish here. So. Yeah, it's there are some fun fights on this card, man. Looking forward to it.
All right, before we let you go, so again, the big fight on the card, besides Hernandez Rodriguez, is Roman Dolidze versus Rainer de Ritter.
Mhm.
If Rainer loses,
Yeah.
Are you divorcing him from your fandom? Are you looking going, you are no longer one of my favorite Dutch people? You're off. You're like the Dutch soccer coach. I am banning you from a country if you lose 3 straight in a row.
Bro, I'm going to tell you, I've never talked to Rainier. I've only shook his hand one time at a Cage Warriors event. So he's not even one of my favorite people. I just hope he does well for the Dutch people because he got a lot of a big fan base over here, you know. So, but we'll see. The thing is, like, a stylistically good matchup for him, I feel like, you know. Uh, Actually, the funny thing is, like, I've talked more to Roman Delic than I did to Rainier the Riddler in my life. So that's actually funny. But, it's a stylistically good matchup, like I said, for the 4th time, and he should be able to get the win here. If he doesn't get the win against Roman Delice, he won't go far at 205, I think.
Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, we love having him on because, as we heard during the Cyborg versus Dana White thing, he loves dropping bombs, telling it like it is, and if you don't like it, that's your fault, not his. I give you once again from Heavy Sports and from the MMA Oddsbreaker podcast, I give you it is Marcel Dorff. So, Marcel, once again, where can fans check you out at? Where is the Twitter, the YouTube channel, the website? Where can fans hit you up at?
Big Marcel24, Twitter, Instagram, the MMA Oddsbreaker podcast with Adam Martin, mostly on Sundays, previews and recaps of UFC events, and obviously also on your channel, Chris Carner's channel, obviously, Last Call. Thanks all for always having me, Chris. Always enjoy talking to you. And till next time, man. And let's hope it's a good card this weekend. And let's hope Cyborg get their well-deserved flowers after this weekend.
Amen to that. Ladies and gentlemen, Marcel Dorff, always an honor, pleasure to have you on the show. We come back. Got a lot more going on here. Only on, it's Last Call. Last Call at the Alcohol. Only on the LastCallPodcast.com.